from heterosexual to gay to lesbian to bisexual and bi-curious people. The world as it stands right now is full with a plethora of all kinds of sexual orientations. Where do sexual orientations come from, for God's sake? That's the thrust of my conversation today. Hi, my name is Rafa Gottlob, and you're welcome to the School of Life. This is a program where I just sit down and try to teach you life lessons in a way that is easy to understand and digest, and in a way that can help you become a better person tomorrow. So, on today's edition, we're talking about sexual orientations, and we're trying to find out how do people form sexual orientations. So, let's get into it. Scientists have come up with all kinds of theories, and just to mention to you that theories are not facts. A theory is a tentative answer or a proposed solution to a scientific problem. But some theories are so widespread that people accept them as a truth or a general fact, but it's not a fact. It's just a theory, not a fact. They've come out with all kinds of theories that people are born with homosexual genes and gay genes, and they use these a lot to talk about effeminate boys. Effeminate boys are boys that behave like girls, okay? And they use it to talk about gamine girls. Gamine girls are girls that behave like boys, not just tomboys, the bounce, okay? And effeminate boys are the kind of boys that just do the catwalk. You're supposed to be bouncing, you're doing the catwalk. What's wrong with you? So that's that. They've come out with theories that these people are born with just homosexual genes and things like that, but it's a little tricky because a larger majority of homosexuals, whether lesbians or gays, all lesbians are not necessarily gamine, and all gay men are not necessarily effeminate. Okay, so what will you use now to explain for the other people who are not gamine and effeminate? It becomes tricky, right? It becomes tricky. Scientists and philosophers and great thinkers have said that a child is born like an empty slate, okay? And whatever you write on the child becomes what the child becomes, okay? Bible teaches it that way for people who are religious. It says when you train up a child the way he should go, he grows up and not goes away from that way that he was trained. Okay, so what is it with this training and not training, and why is it like this? It's like this so that anywhere you give birth to a child, the child adapts to that area. I'll give you a good example. Do you like Timanambusa? Do you like Kati Kati? Do you like Unkok? Do you like Mitumba? If you're not from Cameroon, you don't even know what I'm talking about. These are traditional meals in my country, okay? And so you develop a taste, a preference, or an orientation for anything based on your past experiences with that thing. A child is born with survival instincts, natural survival instincts. For example, if a child is hungry, a child cries. If a child has wetted their diaper, they cry. If a child wants to urinate, they cry. Everything, they have that survival instincts that they can eat, they can, but they don't have a preference or an orientation. Everything a child knows, including their emotions and hatred and bitterness, we teach them. You might have a problem with your neighbor, but your child and your neighbor's child, they play and they're happy. You're the one now that starts teaching your child and saying, don't go to the neighbor's house and don't talk to this, and you teach them whatever they know. It's the same thing for sexual preferences. Okay? The same way a child in China can say, I love to eat rice with chopsticks. A Cameroonian child will never say that, come here and eat rice with spoons. I don't know how to pick grains of rice. I need things. I need food to enter my mouth in large quantities. Okay? The same way a child in the United States, for example, will say, I love McDonald's. I love hot dogs. That's not Cameroonian food. I love roasted plantains and plums. That's what I'm used to. Okay? So, and we develop a taste we develop a preference for foods and different kinds of things based on where we grew and our environment. So basically, it's your surrounding and the different experiences that you've had that develops what you call my preference, including sexual preference. The question is, how do people develop sexual preferences? So how do people develop sexual preferences? The first way people develop sexual preferences is through childhood sexual experiences. And this is very tricky because sometimes children might be on holidays and they're playing and they're touching each other. And they're touching each other in inappropriate places. Okay? And that's how sexual experiences and sexual preferences form. Go online and talk anonymously to any gay person, any lesbian person, and try to find out, how did this thing start? That's what I always find out. Like, how did it start? You try to do research and just ask them questions and just be nice, but ask questions and find out. You would always hear children tell you stories of, when I was young, I used to bathe with my cousins and they used to ask me to suck them here or to touch them here, or just inappropriate sexual activity. Okay? There's always a foundation, but what happens with most of these children is that they grow up and they forget about these experiences. And they jump up and say, I was probably born this way. I was born with these feelings, because as long as I know I did not make a deliberate decision that I want to be this thing or I want to do my life this way, and so I must be born with it. We forget about all these past sexual experiences from childhood, but these are the things that build the foundation, okay, for where we are right now in our sexual lives, in our sexual orientations and things like that. So childhood sex experiences are very, very important in shaping a child's life, in shaping a child's sexual orientation. Okay, another way that people can form wrong sexual orientations is through sexual abuse. Sexual abuse done on girls, sexual abuse done even on boys. There have been numerous stories across the world, and I'm not just talking to Cameroon, I'm not just talking to Africa, I'm talking across the world, of church authorities abusing children sexually, of family members abusing children sexually, family friends and things like that. It's a global issue. It's an issue that's happening everywhere, and I think that we need to have this conversation. People get sexually abused and now they develop all kinds of wrong sexual orientations, because there was nobody there to guide them and nobody there to help them. And sometimes boys are even abused sexually and they have an erection because they're touched inappropriately, and the abusers always tell these guys that you liked it, that's why you had an erection. But the truth of the matter is, you were touching me in an area that can have an erection. You were not touching my face. Okay? And so a child that is abused like that, they don't know if, now have I become gay? Now what is the problem? They don't know what is the problem. You need to guide them through and let them know that it's an abuse. Whether you had an erection or not, it's an abuse. It's sexual activity that was done on you which was not consented. It was not by your consent, and it's wrong. The person is the problem and not you. Because some of these children grow up and feel like, I must have been the problem. There must be something wrong with me. It's the same thing they talk about when you rape a woman. They always advocate that it doesn't matter how indecently she was dressed, it gives you no right and permission to rape a woman. You're like, oh, he was sexually abused because he was effeminate and he acted like a girl. Does that give you a right to abuse somebody's child? It doesn't. It doesn't make it right. He acts effeminate, take him to a football field and jog with him every morning and help him develop manly motor skills. That way you would have contributed into his life positively, instead of abusing him sexually. Okay? He acts like a woman, teach him how to talk like a man, teach him how to sit and comport himself like a man, teach him manly skills. At the end of the day, you're a man if you've helped another man discover his masculinity, and you're a woman if you've helped another woman discover her femininity. It becomes important that we don't abuse children, and we really frown against sexual abuse done to children of all kinds of ages. Another way in which, and I'm rounding up, another way in which people get into wrong sexual orientations is through exposure to pornography. Now, children are adventurous, but sometimes this adventure grows right up to maturity. People are just adventurous. They're like, oh, I heard about this, I want to see how it's done, I want to see. And sexual activity is addictive. All kinds of sexual activity, you do it long enough, you get addicted. It's as simple as that. So if you don't want your trouble, just don't even try, because you get addicted. So we need to be very, very careful that people will just go online and try things and then they get stuck. And now they're looking for help, they cannot get help because they feel ashamed, they don't want to talk about it, they don't want somebody to know. So it's important that we understand these things. My list is not exhaustive, but what we should pick out from all of these that I'm saying is that sexual orientations and preferences, like every other kind of preference, whether it's a food preference, a color preference, a dress code preference, any kind of preference does not develop from the blues. Preferences develop based on our experiences, whether they were childhood experiences, whether they were recent experiences and things like that. And what is important in all of these, and I'm trying to conclude, is for us to understand that the human body and the human spirit and the human everything is trainable. It takes just 21 days to develop a new attitude. Meaning that if you don't like to read books, if you continue reading books for 21 days, you will just start liking to read books. So if you're in a sexual orientation that is not right and it doesn't serve you well, if you're in a sexual orientation or a sexual addiction or whatever thing that you find yourself in, you can start putting new information into yourself and start, educating yourself to come out of it and find out from other people, even online, okay, how they came out and how they did this and how they did that. You want to get help any way that you want to get help, and you want to have a conversation. Look for somebody that you can confide in, religious person, an elderly person, whatever kind of person, even a spouse or something. Confide in somebody, okay? And a problem shared, they say, is a problem half solved. So we need to get to this place where we can talk about things and we can really look for help, okay? There's nothing that is irreparably damaged. There's nothing that cannot be fixed, okay? If you make an effort, you discover that things will change for you. Putting new information into your life and dissociate yourself with things that promote those sexual orientations. If it's pornography, delete it from your phone. If it's bad friends, then disassociate yourself with them and, protect your territory and put yourself in an atmosphere where you can learn new things that can shift your life towards a better orientation, a sexual orientation, and a better lifestyle. So that's like, this is it. Basically, orientations don't just come from birth or things like that. Children are born with natural survival skills, but are not born with no orientation. A child's food orientation, food preference, sexual orientation, any kind of preference is developed based on your surroundings and your experiences. That should be made clear. All of these, I was born gay, I was born lesbian. It's a lie. You were not born nothing. You were born with no orientation. You were born with just natural instincts of hunger and thirst and things like that. You pee on your body and you cry and things like that. So I think that should be clear. I hope that you learned something through this video, and if you have issues, try to get help. I am not a religious authority. I am not, but I can say what I can say, and you can go online and find out lots of videos on YouTube and just find out anything. You want to come out from any kind of addiction, there's a lot of information in this generation. There's no need why you should be trapped in an addiction or trapped in a wrong sexual orientation and things like that, and you feel like there's no help. There's help all around you if you look for it. Okay, you need to make a deliberate effort to move towards positivity. And that's that. I hope that you've learned something, and I hope that you can shape your life henceforth towards a better direction, because that's the intention. That's the reason why I sit here every day, to teach you a lesson, to tell you something that will really open your eyes and make you see life differently and help you become a better person. And that way I must have done my job. My name is Rafa across all social media handles. On YouTube, I'm Rafa 237. Rafa all in capitals. Instagram, I'm Rafa _237. If you want to invite me to MC an event or to just appear somewhere. You know, you want a party body. If you want me to give a talk somewhere, maybe in school or in church or whatever, if you want to reach out to me just to talk to me and get to know me as a friend, I am totally available and willing to get to know you. I'm called Rafa across all social media handles. My direct lines are everywhere on my social media handles, so you can literally like pick up your phone and just scroll on Facebook or whatever, and you get my number and you can write me on WhatsApp. You can really get in contact with me. I'm available. I'm making myself available because I want to be of help to people. So that's that. I'll see you some other time. Until next time. Bye bye.